Hello and welcome to another episode here in Yabong Pilipinas. And this is actually the third and I think the last uh, video ng factors affecting crop production. So kinot ko siya into three portions. We have two portions for abiotic factors, then ito biotic factors, and human factors, genetic factors, etc. So ayun, let's go to our video. Okay, number 25. So continuation to kaya number 25 na yan. So which of the following is considered a beneficial organism in crop production? A. Aphids. B. Weeds. C. Pollinators. D. Nematodes. Ayan. Sige. Pause the video kapag kailangan nyo ng more time. Next, number 26. Which statement best describes the role of decomposers in agriculture? A. They eat insect pests. B. They transfer pollen between flowers. C. They break down organic matter into nutrients for the soil. D. They compete with crops for nutrients. Okay, so biotic factors, these are all living components ng isang ecosystem na pwedeng makatulong or even makasira sa farm. Kaya it also is a factor when it comes to crop production. So biotic factors, this is actually the reason kung bakit tayo merong crop protection. Ayan. So beneficial organisms, we have pollinators. They are the organisms na nagdadala ng pollen or naglilipat ng pollen from one flower to another or sa same lang din. Then we also have decomposers. Ito yung nagpapabulok ng dead matter. Ayan. And it can also recycle yung mga yon doon sa lupa. Ayan. So it will, in the long term, translate into nutrients for the soil. More of the discussion on the pests kapag pagkarating na natin sa crop protection. And I am also looking forward sa paggawa ng bagong series sa Omaha Gardener about the pests. So that will be exciting kasi I am really passionate. I am really, gusto ko talagang gawin yon. Ayun, I'm really excited to do a series about pest management. Ganyan. Ano yung mga factors, ano yung mga klase ng pests na meron. Ayun. Ayun na naman. Okay, so number 25, ang answer dyan ay pollinators. So siya yung beneficial organism doon. All of the others are pests na considered in agriculture. So number 26, yung role ng decomposers, they break down organic matter into nutrients for the soil. Okay, so ayun yung sa biotic factors. Sa part 3, we have genetic factors. So titingnan naman natin ngayon itong mga to. And I think this will be a reiteration of what I said earlier in the first episode ng factors affecting crop production. And this will also be somehow a review for crop breeding. Ayan. So the genetic makeup of a plant, which determines its yield potential, size and quality is called alin dyan? Genome, genotype, phenotype, or variety. So I hope na tama yung sagot nyo dyan, ha? Ayan. So sa genetic factors, kumbaga sa tao, ayun yung lahi niya. Ayan. So it is the genetics na meron sa isang plant itself. So that is called the genotype, which is the built-in potential ng isang halaman para sa taas ng ani, laki ng bunga at iba pa. So a lot of factors actually. For example, color, yung dami ng, for example, sa corn, yung dami ng kernel rows, yung mga yan. So, those are dictated then by the genotype. Kaya tayo merong plant breeding. So, the answer here is genotype. So, dito na rin papasok yung some selection indices for major crops. So, we have here adaptability, productivity, and marketability. So, kumbaga, pagdating sa crop breeding, doon natin mas ma-discuss yung tinatawag na selection and characterization. But ito yung ilan sa mga major na ginagamit na pang-select na, for example, Sige, magbibigay na ako ng mga example in the next slides. So let us talk about adaptability, productivity, and marketability. So adaptability, plant characters associated with survival. Ayan. So kung magsusurvive yung mga halaman in a specific environment katulad ng climate, ganyan, o kaya level ng water, yung mga yan. So responses to the environment siya. Adaptability. Productivity naman, mga characteristic na nagko-contribute sa mas mataas na ani, higher yield. And yung marketability for consumer acceptability. So siguro dito mas magiging malinaw na. Kanina medyo ang pangit ng mga sinasabi ko. Wow, hindi malinaw. So dito mas magiging malinaw na through examples. So example, and all the credits goes to Institute of Crop Science for these photos. And ayan. Uh, productivity, higher dry matter. Ayan. So itong mga to, it contributes to higher dry matter. So example, ito ay sugarcane. So kapag mas mahaba ang internodes ng sugarcane, mas gusto natin kasi mas marami kang pwedeng kunin from that sugarcane kapag mas mahaba yung internodes nila. So sa peanut naman, mas gusto natin na mas marami yung mga ganyan, yung mga nodes. And also, in rice, mas gusto natin na mas marami yung tillers. Ayan. So kapag mas marami yung tillers, mas maraming tutubuan yung mga panicles. So mas maraming grains na ma-harvest. So these are all characteristics na sineselect ng mga breeders natin when it comes to productivity. Ngayon, let's go naman to adaptability. So sa adaptability naman, these are actually plant characters that enable these types of plants to survive throughout adaptation. So most of these are hindi naman siya nung una ganyan na agad talaga sila. So throughout evolution, nagkakaroon ng changes when it comes to the structure of the plants. So yung evolution na yan, yung adaptation na yan, nangyayari yan, mas prominent siya actually when it comes to plants or even bacteria rin. For example, dati may mga bacteria na uh, may mga bacteria na namamatay agad kapag mayroong ganito antibiotic. Pero as time goes by, nakakapag-adapt yung mga bacteria na hindi na sila tinatablahan ng mga antibiotic na yon. So, ayan yung isa rin sa mga issue ngayon when it comes to using antibiotics. Kaya controlled talaga dapat ang antibiotics. So, same true sa plants, parang ganun din. Na throughout evolution, nagkakaroon sila ng mga ganitong characters. Katulad ng mga diniscuss natin sa vegetative morphology. Pwede yung balikan yon. May mga plants na natutong umangat. Ganyan. Kaya sila natutong umangat kasi kailangan nila ng water. For example, yung mangroves. Kailangan nila ng water, kailangan nila ng air. Ayan. Ang example nun ay yung mangroves. So, uh, ito, yung nandito sa taas, siya ay trichomes. So nakikita yan sa okra, yung mga ganyan. For protection sa mga insect pest, kaya sila tinubuan ng ganyan. This one is a prop root or also known as a brace roots. More general adventitious roots na meron sa corn to support yung matangkad niyang stature. Yan, para ma-support siya. Then ito, tendrils adapted for climbing. Ayan, para mas madali silang humawak sa mga sa mga surfaces. And ito rin storage roots. Ayan. So may mga nag-evolve din na nagkaroon ng storage na sige mag-store tayo ng starch dun sa baba. Ayan. So more of that nasa vegetative morphology. And of course, marketability, kung ano yung gusto ng consumer. So these are things na nadidiscover natin throughout the way. Let's say for example, ano bang kulay nitong anthurium ang gusto ng mga tao? Ano bang kulay ng anong tawag dito? Peace lily. Peace lily ba or anthurium? Parang anthurium yan. Correct me if I'm wrong. Ayun. uh, ano bang kulay yung gusto? Kulay pink ba? Kulay purple? Kulay ganito? So, ganon. May relasyon siya kung may bibili ba noong mga produkto na yan. So sa banana naman, kaya natin mas ini-improve yung okay, high in potassium, high in ganito na mga crops. Kaya tayo nagbe-breed ng mga ganun na crops in order for the consumers na ma-attract dun sa mga uh, ang tawag dito sa mga commodity na yon. So sa coconut naman, mas gusto natin yung mas makapal, yung kanyang endosperm. So ang gusto natin ay anong tawag dito? Mas makapal para mas maraming ma-harvest. So mas maraming ma-market. Ayan. Okay, and I think nasa last na ba tayo? Yes, baka nasa last, malapit na tayo sa last portions. So in number 28, one major concern about genetically modified organisms is A, they always reduce yield. They can only be grown in cold climates. The possible transfer of modified genes to non-target organisms. Or D, they require no pest control. So ang answer dito ay, ayan. So the answer is the possible transfer of modified genes to non-target organisms. So ang genetically modified organisms, these are plants na ini-improve or binabago nga yung kaya siya genetic engineering, yung genes para ma-improve sila when it comes to their yield. Ayan. So even tolerance, ganyan. Throughout our discussions, meron ding mga lalabas na on biotechnology, sa crop protection, also sa crop science, sa biotechnology, sa crop breeding na side, may mga madidiscuss din tayo. So, ayan, imbes na natural breeding, kinukuha yung gene sa ibang organism, then inilalagay sila doon sa genes noong mismong crop na yon. So, let us say, for example, golden rice. So, yung golden rice, yung gene na nagpapag-gold rice sa kanya, which is rich in beta-carotene, ay kinuha sa daffodil, tapos inilagay sa rice. So, ayun yung concept ng genetically modified organisms. So, ito yung mga concerns na meron sa GMOs na baka daw magkalat yung gene sa ibang organisms, makasama sa non-target organisms, baka lumakas lalo yung pest, at maging allergenic or toxic yung product. So, a lot of things na ganito ay anong tawag dito? It's more of a social issue then kasi on the scientific side may mga claims naman talaga backed with research and science, but then it is still up to the community or the society if i-accept nila itong mga to. Kaya mainit ang discussion on genetically modified organisms. Ayun. Magkaka-discuss tayo ng more of this sa crop protection. And of course, last and to end this factors affecting crop production, we have the human factors. Ayan. So farmers' capability in crop production mainly depends on A, rainfall and soil pH, B, available resources and knowledge, C, crop genotype, D, government fertilizers subsidies alone. So the answer, mamaya pa pala i-reveal. Ayan. So sa human factors, ang lagi kong sinasabi is that at the end of the day, it is still the farmer who's going to decide. It is still us, yung mga agriculturists, yung mga experts, and even kung sino man yung may-ari ng lupa na yan, sila pa rin yung magdi-decide kung ano yung gagawin sa farm nila. So, human factors pa rin talaga ang babagsakan ng lahat. So, dito papasok yung preference ng farmer. Ano ba yung gustong ani? Ano yung gustong variety? Ano yung experience ng farmer? And I feel like this is also one of the reasons why when it comes to agricultural extension, it is really important for us. And mahirap din na makapag-penetrate ng bagong technology sa mga farmers natin. As we've discussed the nature and importance of agriculture, ang age ng farmers natin, patanda na sila ng patanda. And sabi sa agricultural extension, yung mga matandang farmers, most of them ay hindi adapters talaga ng technologies. So, mga laggards, ganyan, or ayan, late. So, dito papasok yung preference na kahit pa gaano karami yung i-develop natin ng mga varieties, etc., blah, 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 kung ayaw siyang tanggapin ng farmer, kasi sabi ng farmer, gumagana naman na tong dati sa amin. So, ba't pa namin kailangan yan? So, doon papasok yung farmer's preference. At the end of the day, human factors pa rin. Yung farmer pa rin yung magde-decide. It is also affected by economic policies. It is also affected by economic factors. Let us say, for example, presyo sa palengke or government programs. Meron ba silang access sa merkado? Meron ba silang access sa nila dadalhin yung mga inani nila? Gaano ba kamahal yung bentahan sa palengke? Yung mga ganun na bagay. So, doon papasok yung human factors. Another one is farmers' capability. So, ano yung resources? Ano yung knowledge na meron yung mga farmers natin? Dito papasok yung importance ng agricultural extension, how we communicate these different technologies sa ating farmers. And yung resources, of course, meron bang mga sariling lupa yung mga farmers natin or nakikisaka lang sila? Meron ba silang source ng fertilizer, ng water, even yung gas na pampapatraktor? Meron ba silang kalabaw? Yung mga ganun na bagay. So, nasa resources, knowledge. Unfortunately, marami pa rin yung gumagamit ng traditional knowledge. So, we need more of us, agriculturists, na pumunta dun sa grassroots level and to introduce then yung mga ganitong knowledge. I think this is a whole system na hindi kaya ng iisang tao lang talaga na gawin lahat ng ito. So it is up to you kung saan nyo gustong pumunta after gaining that license. And of course, we have here management. Ito yung link ng preference and capability. So yung management, it is like the broader picture of kaya nga crop production and management, di ba? Siya yung broader picture na, okay, kahit meron kang magandang genetics dyan sa plant mo, maganda yung breed, pero yung management mo dun sa iyong ecology, sa ecosystem ng farm mo, hindi maganda. Tapos, idagdag mo pa yung mas maganon, mas broader view ng human factors na, okay, meron mo pupuntahan tong mga aanihin natin. Meron ba siyang market? Yung climate, paano kapag binagyo tayo? Kultura, ano ba yung gusto ng farmer? Ano yung nakagisnan ng farmer? Ekonomiya, ano ba yung estado ng merkado natin na kapag ito na harvest ba ng farmer, meron ba siyang pupuntahan? Meron bang bibili sa kanya? Mura ba or mahal? Yung mga ganun na bagay. And yung gobyerno. One of the things that I've learned in my management, I took management as elective sa aking nung na-start ako ng PhD and yung sa master's ko, Management 201, one of the things that's really a highlight sa akin doon is that the government should be the social equalizer. So it means, yes, merong mayaman, merong mahirap, merong gitna, merong different status. So yung government, it will set the political tone, it will set the opportunities na meron sana sa isang society, sa isang bansa, kumbaga, na okay, meron bang enough na opportunities for the poor or bias ba siya sa iba? Yung mga ganun na bagay. So, ideally, the government should be the social equalizer. But I don't know now if what is happening. Kasi we are all moving in a political landscape, di ba? So, the more laws na meron for specific sectors na meron sa isang bansa, let us say, for example, the farmers, ayan, women, yung fisher folks. So kapag may mga laws na nag-cater to them, then ayun yung role ng political ng government natin to have or to present the people with somehow equal opportunities that will uplift their lives. Ayun, so ayun siya. At ang dami ko nasabi about that. Yeah, the government must be the social equalizer. So the answer sa number 29 is that, ayun, farmers' capability in crop production mainly depends on available resources and knowledge. And lastly, in the integrated view of crop production, high and sustainable yield is achieved by managing A, only genetic and environmental factors, B, only abiotic and biotic factors, C, genetics, environment, and human decision-making together, D, only climate and soil. And I hope that this point, ito na yung end nito. Ang sagot niya ay letter C, genetics, environment, and human decision-making together. So in conclusion, crop production is the combination of genetic, environment, and human decision-making. So lahat ng mga SALIC, which are abiotic factors, biotic, genetic, and human factors, they are needed na pag-aralan at i-manage in order for us na magkaroon ng mataas na aani at sustainable na farming. Yeah, I think that's it for the factors affecting crop production. Uh, sa licensure exam, if they will be following the TOS, this will be, I think, 15 points or 16 points doon. So, I hope na makuha nyo to lahat, ma-absorb nyo siya, at madaanan nyo silang lahat. Anyway, that's it for the factors affecting crop production. If you like this video or if you learned something sa video na to, you can like, please subscribe, and also click the notification bell para maano kayo sa mga future episodes. Also, if you have a friend who's studying the licensure exam with you, I encourage you to share this video sa kanila to also give them that 15 points dun sa licensure if susundan nila yung TOS. Pero yeah, share this video to everyone that you love, na gusto yung na gusto yung pumasa na licensure na ayun, oo. Ayan, that's it for this video. See you in the next episode. Bye!